All right, guys and gals, on today's episode of uh shit, let's fix something, I guess. I don't know. We have some skid plates for the front and rear diff. Look, I believe these are for the rear shocks. I don't know. Jeep stuff. This Jeep guy dropped this Jeep off to do Jeep things. Not bad looking Jeep. The best thing about it, or possibly one of the most rare things about it, in my opinion, would be not seeing any rubber ducks. Anyways, last time installed some of the rock slide, but they are powered, so look at that there. Ain't that fancy. So anyways, we're going to be putting some protective gear on it per se today. And these are for the front springs. It has, I think, the factory plastic ones, and they were supposed to be replaced with that, and that didn't happen. So anyways, I'm gonna hook some heat up because it's a bit cold in here. It's a rainy day, and let's see if we can not get fucked by a Jeep. How about that? Let's see how smooth this goes, shall we? All right, let's go. All right, I got some of this stuff laid out. I'm gonna attack the rear shock skid protector slider platey glide plates. Got some nuts and bolts hung out, but I'm just gonna throw this on a time lapse while I do this. Doesn't seem too technical. I'll come back, talk about it and all that stuff as I get some of the work done. But that heater's loud, and I'm gonna do those sliders actually laying on the ground, just so the suspension isn't hanging and you have to fight it even more while you put those on. So I'm gonna knock those out, and then I'll move to the diff covers, things like that. But I'll just throw it on time lapse for some of that stuff, and we'll check back in with you. Alright, was hoping we wouldn't be back so soon and be getting fucked so soon, per se. It's just typical for aftermarket stuff. Everybody says, oh, it's easy, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's because you've never done it. Well, I saw on the internet. Yeah, I bet you did. Anyways, these brackets, they don't line up good enough for the bolt to fit. I got the front bolt in, and it pretty much bottoms out on the inside, and you still need a little bit of an arch at the top here for that bolt to actually go through. As you can see, where it's rubbed there, that's where it's hit the bottom of it, trying to tap it up in there to get it to go further. There's no welds on the inside here to get in the way, but it just still doesn't quite fit. So to make these work, we're gonna have to step these holes up a little bit. So yeah, guess we'll get to drilling and having a little bit more extra fun. All right, let's go. All right, we're back. So this is the DV8 diff plates. Obviously they're kind of straightforward, but didn't come with any directions on like which way some things need to be flipped, or you know, a right and a left bracket, which they are. They weren't labeled. And the owner of the Jeep also had taken everything out of the packages and kind of just threw it all in there. So that makes it a little more difficult to decipher through things, and it's aftermarket. I mean, yeah, you figure it out, whatever, but it just takes twice as long, and just added kind of frustration with that. So, you know, unfortunately, it's part of it sometimes. And some of it you kind of look at and you're like, I don't know about that, but you know, it's how it's made, it's how it's supposed to be, whatever. Once again, they did have some stuff online, but you've got to kind of go through that or sit around for an hour or so watching all the videos. And these holes here, like you saw, need to be trimmed out a little bit to be able to fit, but those finally got installed. So yeah, overall, I think if it had some instructions about brackets, not so much on this one, because it does have a D and a P on that bracket, but the front brackets, these loop overs were actually a little bit different for sizes. And then kind of the way this is angled, I'm sure you could probably put it either way and it would fit. So just small stuff like that would be helpful. I don't know if they came with instructions and he didn't put them back in the box, or kind of the whole deal with that, but yeah, apparently it's the DV8 brand for Dana 44s. If you're new to the channel or whatever, I kind of do a little bit of everything. I'm not like a die-hard, you know, one brand or another, something like that. I kind of like a little bit of everything. I work on a little bit of everything, but I'm not super familiar with Jeeps and all that stuff or whatever. So, all you Jeep people out there, you know, comment away, I guess. But like I mentioned, this is a rare Jeep just due to the fact that it doesn't have ducks all lined up on the dash. Now the last thing that's left are these bad boys, which most people do the worst thing first. I always do that ass backwards, and I do the easier stuff first. Looks like hockey pucks stacked up for a bump stop. There's a bump stop there. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this part of it. I'm gonna have to stare at it for a little bit, come up with a plan of attack. And this is a let's see, it's got little zip ties on the handle. Apparently the tabs broke on it. So let's cut those off and take a look in here for this fancy spring compressor. It got some decent reviews. I don't typically mess with this stuff either, just because it can be pretty dangerous, and all the other little kits that I've come across have been super cheap and cheesy to where I wouldn't trust them. Yeah, this one definitely feels heavy duty. Like I said, he was looking at purchasing it, and I looked at some of the reviews and whatnot, and I said, well, for the price and what it is, it looks like it should be, you know, I guess just a decent choice for what it is what I'm trying to say. So I guess I'll have to try that. I don't know. I'm not feeling too confident about it, especially the way those springs, they're all like twisted and bowed, and I don't know. What was this? I think these springs might be for a, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I'm just talking now. Let's not die and see what happens. I'll check back in with you. All right, I've got the, hi there. Got the spring compressor majigger on there. Seems all right. Seems legit. Yeah. I absolutely hate that you can't have music playing on YouTube. It drives me nuts. I don't know. It's been quietly playing back there, so I forgot about it. So I'm sure they'll copyright me and call me a bitch for that. Yeah. I mean, I think, I know you're probably supposed to do this by hand, but since when do we do what we're supposed to half the time? I'm gonna put, if I can lock something a little extra on there just in case. You can see the yellow is the plastic pads that are on this thing. I'm gonna start cranking on it. I've snugged it up. Well, that didn't last, did it? Oh, come on, Peacock. I'm just trying to, it's almost like putting a chain around it or something, just to give it that extra in case something pops off, to keep things from flying apart. Extra little precaution. But I want, obviously, this to go upward. I think it's coming down more so than, everything's looking okay from what I can tell. I'm just trying to test this out with you guys live and in action in case the whole thing goes south, but so it has pressure off of it. Is it stuck on the boot down here? I think it is. So I need to be able to do that. Get that off of there. Unfortunately, that's so tall and this is so tall that even if I compress this, say, where am I at here? About a 4-inch gap. Even if I took it down, say 2 more inches, I don't think that would be enough for me to kind of lift this up and slide anything out. And with that being a one piece, obviously, I mean, you can't, I could cut this and get it off, but I wouldn't be able to get the other one on without taking those bump stops off. Come here, come a little bit closer if you will. I don't know. So, I need to replace this guy. But it's got like, you know, they went to a hockey game or something and won a bunch of hockey pucks and finally decided they found something to do with it besides play hockey. I'm just messing around, they work just fine. I actually used hockey pucks for like some body mounts on my rat truck, so I'm just bullshitting you guys. I don't know. Alright. Ow. Alright, let me see if I can get these bump stop pucks and all that out of there. And then I should be able to do it. I'm going to lower this down a little bit too while I'm at it. And if you brace the back of your vehicles like that with that pole jack, don't forget about it now, because you go to lower that vehicle and you're not paying attention. It's happened before, so you know, you always got to be cautious. Stuff happens, so yeah, I'm gonna get this. We'll be back. All right, we have completed. Overall review on this Beaver spring compressor tool, strut compressor, whatever you want to call it. Let's see, do we have a part number somewhere? Possibly be it right there. I'd recommend it. It worked for what I needed on a lifted Jeep. I mean, it could be tricky if you're doing it in the vehicle, trying to get the bolt and whatnot. I actually had to take the stabilizer strut out in the front to be able to get to adjust it. But both rubber bumps in there, that tiny slot right there where the nut is under there, I had to get an offset wrench. It was pretty tricky kind of getting this side, but the skid plates are on. I just had to run up and get a cheap set of offset wrenches to get up in there to hold that nut. That was all I knew to get up in there. I mean, there was really no good angle at all on that thing. So besides that, I was able to get those in there. And besides kind of the parts being scattered and not having instructions for, you know, some of the plates and whatnot, of course accessories, stuff like this, aftermarket stuff. Obviously if I got another set to do, it would be half the time than the first time you're doing things like this. But overall, not horrible. It's not supposed to be. I'm just got to test drive it, mostly just for the settle everything in the front, things like that, take it up and down the road. But that is it for the skid plates, and adding the correct rubber stops for the springs in the front that was required for the lift kit. Everything's torqued back to specs, and it's ready to hit the road again. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, it was kind of straightforward in a way on this stuff, but I ain't done one, and me fumbling around, you know, I just put it on the time lapse, and it was basically some nuts and bolts and brackets, nothing special. It was raining pretty good, a little windy, and I had the heater going, so it was a bit noisy, so you probably wouldn't have been able to hear me very good anyways. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. If you liked it, throw me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff everybody tells you to do. You know, it's the name of the game, I guess. Till next time, I'll go fix something.